Midweek in America, my friends. Welcome to it. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio once again. Live stream, replay, podcast, audio version, whatever you got going on. I appreciate you being here. My name is Bill Adams. Thanks for finding it once again. I appreciate it very much. Oh, by the way, audio podcast listeners only. Just have to subscribe, and then you press follow, on Spotify. That's how you subscribe on that thing. All right, that's out of the way. Can we talk about the stuff now? We got some good news to talk about. First, a little update that happened overnight. Remember that Tennessee special election? That lunatic lady that hates her city and hates her country and wants to defund the police and all that. Well, she lost. But is it possible for a party to win and lose at the same time? We'll spend a little bit of time on that. Massive Minnesota fraud. And the big takeaway today is, so when politicians are most desperate, what do? They throw out the R word, right? So the takeaway for you, me, and everybody else today is going to be to remember and remind ourselves it's not racist to uncover and bust massive fraud. Tell what they're talking about with what they discovered in the state of Minnesota with their fraud. It's reaching billions, not millions, not hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. Got a new hoax to talk about, the Trump health hoax. That's right. The same people who covered up for turnip brain Joe Biden for 4 straight years are telling you that the guy that's working 18 hours a day is not healthy. That's right. But it's all going to be okay because we're in the Christmas season. And a lot of people don't consider it officially Christmas season until the Rockefeller Center tree lights up in New York City. That happens tonight. And that's what we're going to wrap it up with today. But let's get right to it. A little bit of overnight breaking news. Not going to spend too much time in the swampy politics stuff, but this was the update. But there's something to watch out for here, and I think it's an important lesson for all of us. So that guy in Tennessee won the special election, Van Epps, over the lunatic lady that we were talking about last week, that girl that pretty much hates Nashville and said so. But there's a hidden gem in here we need to pay attention to.
We are seeing something that at the moment suggests the Republican might hold on to win. Matt Van Epps has just taken the lead. I'll explain why in a minute. And if you look through the map, you could see a progression to where Matt Van Epps can hold on. I can also give you a scenario, though, where the Democrat Afton Bain wins. But the fact that we're talking about this race at 9 o'clock at night in the East on this night, a special election, tells you everything you need to know. Republicans are going to be nervous even if they win this seat because Matt Van Epps is...
Why would that be? Why would that be, CNN? Why would Republicans nervous? They won that seat. That's good news, right? It's a big takeaway. And you find the GOP people that you may follow on your phone, whatever, they're stomping up and down and celebrating. And, I know people think that I'm just like, shilling for Republicans or anything on the right all the time. Not so when you hear me say this. This was a win that was an actual loss. We've seen it in New Jersey. We've seen it in Tennessee now and other special election seats. If Trump's not on the ballot, normal, hardworking, center, right-leaning people don't show up. Every county in that state in Tennessee that had that special election leaned left. He won. The good news is that lunatic lady lost. But every single county leaned left. They turned out. They're voting that way, and they can't afford things. And if I'm telling you, if these lazy people, the lazy Republicans, don't wake up, they are going to get killed in the midterms. But maybe it's a warning. I don't know. We'll see. But that's what happened there. So good and bad all at the same time. This is great. I take this as great because you never used to see this happen. And it's been festering since the mid-'90s. The massive Minnesota fraud story. Minnesota Nice that's been uncovered. This is, it's hard to rack up a state fraud story that reaches the billions. Usually it's like you hear about, even in the most corrupt states like Massachusetts, New York, Illinois, California, you hear about fraud that they'll cover. It's into the tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. They're talking about billions of dollars in Medicare, housing, flat out skimming fraud in Minnesota, SNAP benefits fraud in Minnesota. And they're cracking down on it because they discovered it. And this all involves, obviously, taking federal benefits away. But it also involves ICE coming into Minnesota. So, this was unreal. So the mayor of Minneapolis, gee, do you think he has a vested interest in catering to the Somalians in his city and his surrounding communities? This is his press conference yesterday where he, like a lot of other Democrat mayors, have sworn up and down that they're going to fight ICE. They're going to protest. They're going to get in their way. They're going to do. But this one's a little different. This guy changed languages at the end of it.
That's not American. That's not what we are about. And we're going to do right by every single person in our cities. And so to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somaliad, Kunul, Minnesota, Garahan, Minneapolis.
I've seen pandering before, but I've never seen a mayor break out in Somali. Anyway, that's what's happening there. So he's another mayor that's talking tough. He's not going to stand in the way of ICE, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. So here's the second part. So of course Tom Homan's going to go on TV and say, "No, we're going to do what we're going to do anyway." This was him on Fox last night.
Secretary Nolan just talked about just elevated their priority status. So yes, there's going to be an increase of activity up there, and we're going to hold people accountable. We're going to enforce the law without apology. So again, I've told every sanctuary city mayor, governor, you can stand aside and let us make your community safe and remove criminals and even legal aliens that commit crimes that make themselves, if they're a resident alien, they commit a certain offense, a felony offense, even they're deportable and they'll be deported. We're going to enforce the laws of this country without apology, including in the Twin Cities.
So if it's like, if you're in one of those cities, and this could go for any one of these cities that has had a mayor stand up and say, "We're not going to let ICE come into our community. We're going to protect our residents," and never talk about the legal residents. But if you're stuck in one of those cities, Minneapolis, New York, Chicago, L.A., whatever, Boston even, just hold tight. I think they've got this because as it appears anyway, while a guy like Tom Homan's in power through the power vested in him and the Trump administration, they're going to get the job done. But this is where it affects you and me and everybody else. Now, what do we all know? What have we all learned by paying attention to how this crap works throughout the years? When they get really desperate, when crooked politicians get most desperate, what do? What's the ultimate when their backs are truly against the wall? You bring out the R word. So busting up the fraud that they knew about, apparently, busting up the illegal activity, doing whatever they can, to protect legal residents of the city when that actually happens, because they would lose their votes. They would lose their illegal votes. That's why they get desperate. What do? They bring out the racist term. It's racist to do this kind of thing. Pretty rare, though. Now, that's for, politicians get cold. They can fight all the time, whatever. Here's how it started to trickle down, though. In support of this kind of thing, just in your everyday life, you, me, and everybody else who's in support of busting up fraud, stopping American taxpayers from getting ripped off. We're getting called racist now. That's just the kind of thing. And I think all of this stuff that's happening in Minnesota, because it's at such an extreme level, is a good reminder to all of us. Don't ever let anybody call you racist because you want to stand up for actual legal American citizens and you want to bust up fraud and you want to support an administration that does the right thing and be objective about it. I'm telling you, if this somehow in some alternate universe was the Biden administration, or if God forbid even Kamala Harris busting up this kind of fraud, I'd be fully supportive of it. Happens to be this one. But this is where it's taken a different turn. Now you've got city commission members in Minnesota, like this guy I'm about to play for you here, flat out calling the president racist and xenophobic. This one has kicked up a notch, and this is where I say it trickles down to you, me, and regular citizens, because supporting busting up fraud now is going to get you called a racist, and you can't care about that. This is how desperate they are. Here's a Minnesota city councilman just yesterday in his long-winded press conference. Again, I don't know how else to say it, defending fraud in his city and his state.
One of the thing I do want to say, and obviously everyone knows that our president is racist, xenophobic, Islamophobic, and we are going to fight that. America has a history of fighting and stopping those kind of individuals who continue to divide people and divide communities.
So see how what they're doing now, and this is, wow, that's, even to hear any elected person in any capacity in the country actually come out and say that. This is a racist and xenophobic president. Okay, well, they want to go to that level, but what it should show you is how desperate they are, and how desperate they are to defend this fraud, to defend illegal activity. I'm sure illegal citizens who are able to vote, otherwise you wouldn't have the mayor standing up there speaking Somalian, for God's sakes. That's how desperate they are to actually defend this kind of stuff. But this is where it trickles down, again, to normal everyday life. The less informed in your life are going to say, oh, it's just racist. Leave those poor Somalian people alone. Not understanding the story that you understand, that they're busting up fraud. That's why they're doing it. So that's the takeaway. A good reminder, and every once in a while we need one of these. Don't ever let those people con you into thinking you're racist for supporting busting fraud in any community, ever. Don't ever. Just chill out and let them do their work, because it's going to happen. Well, we got a new hoax to talk about. This is a fun one because it's so obviously desperate. So what has fallen apart with all the narratives we've had recently here? The seditious six have lost all their power. No one's following them. People aren't ignoring orders in the military. That's all happening. Remember the whole shutdown thing and all that other crap that they tried to push through? All of these things are falling flat on their faces. So now they're looking at the bottom of the barrel of what hoaxes do we have left? What can we dig up now? Oh, here's one we haven't dug up in a while. We tried it before, but that didn't work. Let's try it again. Let's try to convince the American people that Trump is sick. He's ill. Let's go to that one. Now, everybody knows these are the same exact people who covered up for Biden for 4 years, who had no idea where he was. We all know this now. Now you've got Biden insiders saying that this guy was just lost. We all know the story about the auto pen. He had no idea what was going on. Almost all of those signatures and pardons were fraudulent because of that. More on that later. But now they're trying to push the fact. And again, this is where you have to be objective. I think it's totally fair. We should. You have a responsibility as an American to look at the health of your leaders, especially the president, and say, is he healthy? Is he okay? He's all there. You know my position. I've said it before. I don't think octogenarians should be president. I think it's too old. I just think it is. But let's be objective about this. The guy they happen to talk about, two factors here, is working close to, some reports are saying close to 15, 16 hours a day. You can tell by the White House logs. I mean, that's just fact. This guy never stops. Be objective about it. Even if you don't like Trump, to question his work ethic and what he's able to get done and his sharpness, I don't know about that one. And the second most important factor, the people pushing this new hoax that Trump is somehow unhealthy or mentally not all there, breaking down some way, these are the same people that protected Biden, who obviously was not all there. Anyway, they're going on. They're going on TV every single day to talk about it. Here they are. It's a big debate on CNN last night. This is the new talking point.
About it. There's no question. I mean, he attacked Katie Rogers of the New York Times for the article that she wrote. And the cabinet meeting, one of the reasons it went on so long today was he did a whole treatise on his health. And so he's clearly,
Have you ever met a 79-year-old man that wasn't? I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
And he's constantly being pinged. He's constantly being attacked unfairly for having something wrong. There's nothing wrong with this man. He's clearly fine, and he's up all hours of the night communicating with the American people, and yet he still has to face these ridiculous attacks. And
Scott,
you might be sensitive, too.
You may be right, but we certainly don't know it from his medical reports.
All right,
Oh, you heard, by the way, you heard at the end there, CNN abruptly cut to commercial. How do you know you're losing the argument? You cut to commercial. That's how you do it. So that's the new hoax. That's what it is. Again, the first time they tried this fell right in its face because people looked at this and they said, "Wait a minute, aren't you the same people that covered up for Biden for 4 years that told us that guy was sharp as a tack? Aren't you the same folks?" And secondly, people know it. They see the press conferences. They see the end of the driveway press conferences. They see Trump talking about it all the time. It just doesn't match. It's incongruent. There's something. Even people that hate Trump. I know people in my life that just don't like the guy, right? I've never heard any of them say that he's somehow lacking energy or doesn't get things done. It doesn't match. That's why this one's falling on its face again. But it's got him talking about it, of course, and he was joking about it. Best way to completely debunk and blow up a hoax is to start making fun of it.
But you always find something new, like, is he in good health? Biden was great. But is Trump in good health? I sit here, I do 4 news conferences a day. I ask questions from very intelligent lunatics, you people. I give the right answers. There's never a scandal. There's never a problem. I give you answers that solve your little problems. You go back and you can't find anything, but you do stories about Biden was in wonderful health. The guy didn't do a news conference for 8 months. If I go one day, I had one day where I didn't do a news conference, there's something wrong with the president.
You know what got me in that, and this is the third or fourth time I've actually seen that clip getting ready for it, is the same people you heard chuckling there, those are the that's not the staffers. Those are the reporters laughing. It's another clue. So let's add 3 to this thing. First of all, the same people who covered up for Biden are telling you that Trump somehow is unhealthy or not with it. Huh? Really? Secondly, you can look at the White House logs or look at the press conferences and you see how active he actually is. That's the other thing that doesn't jive. And the third thing is this that I kind of just discovered there as you listen to the actual reporters who cover the White House and the president laughing about it. They know it's bull, and yet they take those stories back to the newsrooms at CBS and NBC and CNN and MSNBC, and they think, yeah, we just talked to the president. He's denying it again. This is what happens in the newsrooms. It doesn't matter. He talked about it for 20 minutes. Okay, let's spin that into a story. That's tonight's topping point for the show. They know it's a hoax. They know it's crap that they feed out. Because again, bottom of the barrel and all the narratives that didn't work, they go to the ones that tried again. So that one is probably going to die by the end of the day today. It's just, of all the hoaxes that they've tried to push, and some have been very effective. I mean, really, I'm thinking about some of the most effective hoaxes that the media has gotten away with. Worst one of all time was the Fine People hoax. We know about that one. Second one was the Russian collusion hoax, 1 and 2. But the Trump is not healthy hoax? Not now. He's 79 years old. I don't know. Maybe someday, but that guy has plenty of energy. Trust me. Like I said, even the people I know that don't like him at all, nobody thinks that he's unhealthy, for God's sakes. He's 79 and works 15, 16 hours a day. That one's fallen on its face. I'll say again, though, and I just want to repeat this one more time. You should question and should look into every president's health. I mean, that's still good. When you're that old, you should. I mean, it affects all of us. So nothing wrong with that. But what they're trying to tell you from the same people that covered up for Biden for all those years, yeah, I don't think so. So, you know what's great, though? Let me just throw one more thing in. What's great about this is how quickly normal people, you, your friends, people you work with, your family, me, everybody, how quickly we can spot hoaxes. There's a lot of great people that have done a lot of work in doing this. I've talked about this before. The great Scott Adams, who does a podcast. He's the Dilbert guy, but has taught for 10 years now people how to spot and identify hoaxes. He's done a great job. And not the only one. Others have done it too. That discerning mind that people have now, because again, like Elon says, we are the media now. And you get a hold of the media and judge for yourself. It's the greatest thing. It's just great. It's depressing at times because you realize, oh my God, you look at some of these news stories on your phone, you're like, they've been lying to us for years. It's kind of depressing at first, but then you realize that you can see through it. It's the greatest thing. That's why trust in mainstream media is down to like 9%. Fantastic. All right, here's some more good news. The holiday season. There are a lot of people who don't consider this the actual official Christmas season until they light up that Christmas tree in New York City, the Rockefeller tree lighting. That's going to happen tonight. I think it's a live event, isn't it? I think Reba is hosting this thing. They always bring out Michael Bublé for this. Anyway, this was from last year, street level. This is what it looked like. Apparently, they've added like 5,000 more lights than last year. I don't know, but this was last year. 3, 2, 1. What's great about this, despite all the nonsense, despite all the crap they throw at you every day, despite all the things, and still, affordability crisis, and we're all going through tough times, it's a strong tradition. There are people who have tried to stop that. There are. But it goes on strong, and it's a great part. It's a great American tradition. That's why I like it. I don't know if I'm going to watch the show, but I'll have some clips for you tomorrow from that. I think it's Reba, and I love Reba. You know that. All right, the main takeaway with all these news stories, the Trump health hoax is just that. It's a hoax, but also this Minnesota fraud story, this isn't going away. When you've got a state that's been caught red-handed, fraudulently stealing American taxpayer money to the tune of billions, not millions, billions, that's not going to go away anytime soon. And the most important reminder on this is being in favor of busting up fraud doesn't make you racist. Just remind yourself of that. Thanks for finding me. Have a wicked awesome Wednesday. Don't forget, replay on all of your favorite channels, X and YouTube and Facebook, and the audio podcast will be posted in just a little bit, all your favorite platforms there too. Make it a wicked awesome Wednesday. Watch that tree lighting tonight. I'll talk to you tomorrow.